Jacob Frey, Doke Magalada, Minneapolis. Tamaan, Shaab ka Somaliyed, Kayimid, Mogadishu.
To that, I want to get to the breaking news we have just heard. The FBI has apparently just served subpoenas to several officials here in Minneapolis, including members of the office of Governor Tim Walz.
Let me tell you a little secret about Mayor Jacob Frey, because if you only know him as that Minneapolis mayor, you're missing the most important part of his story. Jacob Frey didn't stumble into politics. This was planned. It's calculated. And if you understand where he came from, you'll understand exactly where he's going. Frey was born in 1981. He grew up in a Northern Virginia wealthy suburb. He went to William and Mary, a solid school, not really elite, but solid enough. And after graduation, he worked briefly as a community organizer. Sound familiar? Well, it should. It's the same track that Barack Obama took. Then he went to Villanova Law School. He graduated in 2009, and that's when he moved to Minneapolis. Within 4 years of moving, he's running for city council. Just 4 years. Most people spend 4 years figuring out where the good coffee shops are. Not Jacob Frey. He has designs and bigger aspirations. Frey spent 4 years building a political network strong enough to win elected office. That's not luck. That was his ambition, and again, all by design. He wins his city council seat in 2013 at age 32. Ward 3, the wealthy, progressive part of Minneapolis. The kind of voters who love young, articulate candidates who say the right things about equity and justice. And Frey was very good at saying the right things. 4 years later, in 2017, he's running for mayor at 36 years old. Now here's where it gets interesting. Minneapolis mayoral elections use ranked choice voting. It's complicated, but you basically need to build a coalition. And Frey positioned himself perfectly. He was definitely progressive enough for the activists, moderate enough for the business community, and young enough to be the future of the party. So Jacob Frey wins the mayoral race, and immediately national media starts paying attention. Because Frey fits the narrative that they love. A young, progressive mayor in the heartland. The kind of guy who could reach Trump voters. Remember, this is 2018. Democrats are still reeling from the 2016 Trump victory. They're looking for the next Obama, someone who can bridge that cultural divide. And Frey looks like he could be that guy. He's articulate, he's telegenic, he's got the Midwest credentials. But then 2020 happens. We see who the real Jacob Frey is. George Floyd dies in Minneapolis, the city completely erupts, and Frey makes a decision that will define the rest of his career. He could have backed the police force. He could have maintained order. He could have been the law and order Democrat, the kind his party desperately needed. Instead, Frey chose the activists. Now, you and I can debate whether this was the right moral choice, but politically, it was brilliant. Because Jacob Frey understood something. In modern democratic politics, you don't win by preventing chaos, you win by surviving in it. So the third precinct burns. Neighborhoods are destroyed and businesses leave. But Frey gets reelected in 2021. How could this happen? Well, because he positioned himself as the guy who listened during the crisis, who showed empathy. The coordinated media praised him. Progressive groups, well, they endorsed him. And national Democrats started mentioning his name. And if you're paying attention, that's when you see the pattern. Every crisis becomes an opportunity. every controversy becomes a platform. Now fast forward to 24. He's actually now term limited because mayors can only serve 2 terms under Minneapolis law. So he's going to be finishing up here soon. So what's next for Jacob Frey? Well, he's 43 years old. He's got name recognition. He's got national media contacts. He's got fundraising networks. Governor? Maybe, but Klobuchar just jumped in. Congress? That's possible, but Minnesota's congressional delegation is super crowded. Senate? Well, Klobuchar's seat doesn't open until 2026, but Tina Smith's seat comes up in 26 also. Or, and this is where it gets really interesting, he waits. Because here's what Jacob Frey has that most politicians don't: time. He's young enough to lose a race and come back. He's young enough to take a cabinet position and build his credentials. He's young enough to run for Senate in 2030 or 2032. But first, he needs to stay relevant. He needs to stay in the news, and he needs to remain the face of Minneapolis, even though his term is going to be coming to an end. And that brings us to his current strategy. As we all see, the Trump administration is conducting an immigration enforcement operation in Minneapolis. For most politicians, this would be really complicated. You've got constituents who support enforcement and constituents who oppose it. But for Jacob Frey, the community organizer, this is perfect.
They are not here to cause safety in this city. What they are doing is not to provide safety in America. What they are doing is causing chaos and distrust. They're ripping families apart. They're sowing chaos on our streets. And in this case, quite literally killing people. So there's little I can say, again, that'll make this situation better. But I do have a message for our community, for our city. And I have a message for ICE. To ICE, get the Minneapolis.
Because resistance politics is actually his brand. He doesn't need to solve the problem. He needs to be seen fighting. He needs to be seen flying to D.C. to lobby Congress. That's not about policy. That's about Frey staying in front of the cameras. That's about positioning. It's about national interviews. It's about writing these op-eds in major newspapers, speaking tours, all the stuff that you saw Pete Buttigieg and Gavin Newsom do. These aren't the actions of a mayor that's trying to govern. These are actions of a politician building a national profile. Now let me be clear. There's nothing wrong about having ambitions. Every politician you ever have seen, they have them. But here's the question. At what cost, Jacob Frey? Since Jacob Frey became mayor in 2018, Minneapolis has seen a 50% increase in violent crime, a 40% decrease in police staffing, and the closure of hundreds of businesses downtown. Minneapolis also has a commercial real estate crisis, a public education system that's in complete freefall. But if you listen to Frey talk, Minneapolis is on the verge of a renaissance.
Hey, JD Vance, I saw you're in town, but you never said hello. You got a couple things wrong. You called Minneapolis a city in decline. Here's the thing. We were rated as the happiest city in the entire country. We're rated as having the best park system in the entire country. Great place for recent college grads. Downtown's coming back. Guess what else? The last several years, crime's been dropping. By the way, you should love your people more than you love your ideology. Here in Minneapolis, we love our city more than we play partisan politics. That's the way to go. Let me know next time you're here.
He's talking about building back better, about reimagining public safety, about creating the most equitable city in America. The gap between his rhetoric and reality is staggering. And it's that gap that tells you everything you need to know about Jacob Frey. Because Frey isn't interested in governing Minneapolis anymore. He's governing for his next audience, the people who will hire him for a think tank position, the donors who will fund his next campaign, and the media that will cover his next move. This is the model of progressive politics. Manage the decline while building your personal brand. And Jacob Frey, well, he's mastered it. So when you see him talking on CNN about immigration policy, remember this. He's not trying to solve Minneapolis's problems. He's auditioning for his next role. And when you see him writing op-eds about police reform, well, remember, his own police department has lost 40% of its officers. The ones who remain are actually totally overwhelmed and demoralized. When you see Frey positioning as a moderate voice in the Democrat Party, well, remember this. His policies have been anything but moderate. And the results, well, they speak for themselves. The real question isn't what Jacob Frey has done in Minneapolis. The real question is what office will he run for next? Because Frey is not done. Politicians like Frey, they never are. They see elected office as a ladder, not a ceiling. Each position is just a stepping stone to the next one. And the people of Minneapolis, well, they're just the current rung on Jacob Frey's ladder. In a few months, Frey's mayoral term is going to end. He'll give a farewell speech about all they've accomplished together. He'll thank the people for the honor of serving them, and then he'll move on. He's going to move on to the next position, the next opportunity, and the next audience, because that's what this has always been about. It's not about serving Minneapolis. Positioning Jacob Frey, that's what it's all about. And if you want to know where the Democratic Party is headed, well, watch him. He's the prototype. He's their future. He's young, he's articulate, and he's ambitious. He says all the right things about justice and equity. But when you look at the results, the city's got worse when politicians like Frey get promoted. That's the progressive Democrat model. And Jacob Frey, he's executing it perfectly. So keep your eye on him, not because he'll fix anything, but because he's about to climb another rung on the progressive Democrat ladder. And Jacob Frey, he doesn't care who he's going to step on to get there. He's running the Barack Obama playbook. So if you like this story, please give it a like. That goes a long way. And if you've yet to subscribe to America First Alerts, please do so. We'd love to have you along for the ride. We'll see you in the next video.
We won!
Okay, let's go.